If you're starting your own business or even thinking about starting your own business, you need to let people know what you do, right? And this is where I see so many women get stuck. Today, I want to talk about visibility and how we can show up without frying our nervous system. Oftentimes, when we think of visibility, we think, I need to post every day, multiple times a day, even better. I need to be everywhere at once, out on all the platforms. And I need to constantly be revealing my personal life to this random live audience. And if even thinking about that makes your nervous system tighten up, then this video is for you. Hi, my name is Mira. I'm the Neurospicy Crone, and I've been running my own businesses for 30 years, which means I need to let people know what I'm doing in order for them to avail themselves of the wonderful services and products that I've offered over the years. And the same is true for you. And this really breaks my heart because I see so many women say, oh, I should probably get on Instagram. I hate Instagram, but that's what I have to do. And so to start off this video, I want to say that there's a difference between visibility, which is letting people know who you are and what you do and how they can work with you, and influencer culture. So a lot of times we mess up the two and think, I need to be an influencer in order to run a successful business. But an influencer is sort of fame for the sake of fame. These are the people who are posting every day, multiple times a day. They are on all the platforms. They are filming their morning routines and what they had for breakfast and how they're feeling about walking into a room and all the little details of their life. But they're trying to reach everybody. And if you're an older, highly sensitive woman, unless you're trying to build an empire in the third stage of your life, and in that case, I'm not a great fit for you. But if you're trying to build an autonomous stream of income, you don't need to influence everyone. You don't need to be seen by everyone. You only need to be seen by those people who are a good fit for you and your work. So you have this zone of genius. You have this area of expertise. You have all this wisdom and experience. And again, it just breaks my heart because I see so many women who are like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do that visibility game. I can't do that influencer game. So I guess just this isn't for me. But first of all, to distinguish between visibility, letting people know who you are, being seen by the right people, and influencer culture. We're not going to do that. That's not very soothing on our nervous system. So what I would like to do in this video is I would like to bust all those myths around visibility, like you need to be everywhere all the time. And I'm also going to give you some nervous system friendly options that makes it very realistic for you to get out there into the world with your amazing thing. This is good for you if you run your own business. It's also good if you've got a message that you want to get out into the world or a movement that you want to start. You need to gather people around for any reason. This applies. And we can do all of this in a way that really is aligned with our values and is soothing to our nervous system. And here's the good news. It's also more effective. There's a lot of advice out there coming from business influencers and social media experts that just really don't apply to us, and they're also not that effective. The numbers are abysmal, right? So smaller communities of people you're developing real relationships with is much more effective. And so we can talk about being visible without having to become a social media influencer. The first myth I would like to bust is that you need to be out there every single day and even multiple times a day. Post multiple times a day on Instagram, be on TikTok every day, put out multiple emails a week. And this is the myth, the belief that frequency equals visibility. This rewards just busyness over depth. It's this mindset where you have to stay top of mind at all costs. And again, that's just not a fit for the kind of people we want to connect with. We want depth over frequency. So for us, we want to put out something that really means something, not just because it's time to post, right? So 5 posts a week that are just very surface and quickly fade versus one piece of content that's authentic to who you are, that means something to you and will mean something to the people who are receiving it. So that's the big flip for myth number one, is that you need to have this high intensity frequency in order to be visible. That is not sustainable for a sensitive nervous system, and it's not really effective. I know that when I open up my emails, I get a little bit irritated from someone who's emailing me every single day. Oh my gosh, this is so important. This is so urgent, versus someone who sends something really juicy and interesting once a week. This frequency method really rewards feeding the algorithm versus feeding relationships, and it really promotes being constantly on. And when you're highly sensitive, that just doesn't work. We need downtime, we need quiet, we need solitude. And from that quiet and solitude is actually where this really great content that you want to share with your community comes from. So we can let go of that frequency myth and post on a schedule that is more like a good rhythm versus high intensity. Myth number two, you need to be everywhere. You need to be on all the platforms. Get out there on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and Substack and X and YouTube, etc., etc., etc. Oh, it wears me out just listing all those different platforms. And so I think that our method is the exact opposite of that. When I'm coaching people and they're starting their own business and they need to let people know who they are and what they're doing to become visible to the people who are best a fit for them, I say choose one channel only. Get really familiar with one channel, and it's a channel that you enjoy. I love YouTube. It's fun to make videos. It's fun to edit videos. It's fun to interact with people on YouTube. Maybe you like Substack, writing long form. Perhaps you like Instagram. Whatever is one platform that you like, get really good at that one platform. Get to know the people on that platform. Get to know the culture on that platform. Get to know the technology of that one platform. Trying to repurpose your content on a bunch of different channels and then trying to keep up with interacting with people from that content on all those different channels is really exhausting. It will spread you too thin and will make you feel like, oh, I can't do this. I cannot keep up with this game. The belief behind this myth is that visibility equals platform saturation, that you need to dominate the feed, be everywhere at once. And this might work, again, for someone who's wanting to be an influencer for the sake of being an influencer. And the difference is wanting to be seen, that's an influencer, or wanting to be known. Letting people know who you are and how you do it doesn't require you to be on every channel. You can choose one single channel, get really comfortable and familiar with that, and you don't need to play that be on every channel game at all. The biggest problem with these multiple channels methodology is that it's just really exhausting and it fractures our attention because I've had this experience like, where was I having that conversation? You think about it like, what channel was that even on? And so we get really fractured. We feel disoriented rather than rooted, and that's going to affect every aspect of our business. So instead of being everywhere at once, choose one channel that you enjoy, one platform. Maybe that's podcasting, maybe that's videos, maybe that's writing, whatever that is for you, and just settle in, make yourself at home on one channel and trust that the people that need to find you are there and they're looking for you, and your rhythm of consistency, not necessarily high frequency, is going to develop those relationships. All right, myth number 3 to bust is that you need to be constantly showing your personal life. The famous example is show your morning routine. Well, people don't necessarily want to see our morning routines unless there's a point, unless we're teaching about something specific or giving an insight that's meaningful and related to the work that we do in the world. And so filming ourselves at the grocery store and filming ourselves driving down the road or talking about it or writing about it, whatever your platform choice is this pressure to constantly be be vulnerable. Vulnerability is one thing, but exposing yourself on social media is another thing. And I wouldn't necessarily call that vulnerability. And so that's something that we need to tease out as well, is that, am I being vulnerable or am I being performative? And for us, that doesn't feel good. We're like, oh, I really don't want to talk about this private part of my life. And so you don't have to. That's another myth, and it's just simply not true. We don't need to reveal ourselves in order to develop relationships. Of course, we want to be authentic. We want to share the parts of our lives that we like to share. Like, I love to talk about my pets. I love to talk about getting into gardening. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not an expert, but I'm sharing my process, my experience. And through the process of sharing my gardening, I'm learning some insights about how to run my business or how to connect with people. And so the metaphor of gardening is what's valuable to my viewers, not just like, oh, what is she doing today? And the humdrum of my daily routine. So there's definitely something to be said for behind the scenes. People really do enjoy getting a look behind the scenes, but you get to filter what that is for you. Oversharing or being constantly on can really be exhausting for us. And we don't need to, hello, kitten. Speaking of pets, so we don't need to be constantly on. It sort of blurs the line between personal and professional, and we need our private spaces. And so the difference is curated sharing and meaningful glimpses versus like a 24-hour reality TV show. All right, the next myth to bust around visibility is to lean into controversy. What's trending, what's getting a lot of hits, and go there, talk about that, take the opposing viewpoint. So that obviously feels activating to our nervous system, and it's not a method that we need to use. If you don't want to lean into controversy, you don't have to. So that's a visibility myth, that you'll get more attention if you're talking about something controversial. And we can just completely leave that one alone. If we want to talk about something that's topical, that's going on in our world, or that we have a thought about or opinion about, we absolutely can do that, but we don't need to do it as a strategy for visibility at all. This can look like picking fights in your niche, or calling out other content creators, or having hot takes. And all of this is activating for our nervous systems, and it's not a really sustainable method for building a business. The underlying belief here is that visibility equals attention spikes. And if you are doing a hot take, obviously it's going to fade very quickly. And so again, it's not a sustainable way to do it. Myth number 5, which is kind of related to the previous one, is to follow the trends. This myth around visibility really supports algorithm compliance, and it's just not a factor when you're running a micro business. You maybe need 500 to 1,000 people, not 100,000 to 1,000,000 people. And so you don't need to follow the trends, like the trending sounds and audio, the trending ways that people are making their thumbnails, for example, on YouTube. We just don't need to follow the trends, because the trends are about the mass of the population, and we're not wanting to appeal to the masses. We're wanting to appeal to our right fit, right sized audience or community. And so following the trends just isn't even a factor that we need to think about, because our unique people are going to find our unique little cozy corner of the internet, again, whether that's written or podcast or video, whatever you choose to do. And so the trends are pretty much irrelevant to what we're doing. Following trends creates sameness. It can really water down our message. And what we're going for is timeless wisdom. Another myth around visibility that can stop you in your tracks is this myth that you need to be selling every day. Always let people know what you're selling. Sell, sell, sell as part of your visibility. And again, this is the difference between like influencer culture and just wanting to develop relationships through your content. So that consistent rhythm of content builds relationships. And of course, you do want to let people know the services that you have available, the resources that you offer. But it's not like if I am visible, I have to be selling. And so if we can pull those two apart, then being visible, letting people know who we are and what we do, feels less pressure on our nervous system because we're not like, hey, buddy, you want to buy a watch? Which is kind of a whole nother topic that we can get into is the sales process. So of course, if you have a business, you have something for sale, people want to purchase what you have because it is going to solve a problem that they have. It is going to give them a transformation. And so that's part of it as well, but it isn't necessarily always a part of your content, your visibility. So being visible, again, with depth, with meaning, with value as a whole process, and then the sales conversation can be a piece of that, but you're not leading with that. So I think debunking that myth that always be selling can make it feel more accessible, like, yeah, I can do this. The final myth around visibility that I want to address is loudness equals visibility. That means you're leaning in, you're talking loud, you're using bright colors, you're clamoring for attention, and that just feels really inauthentic. If that's not your personality or your style, of course you're going to feel activated when you feel like, oh, I have to be an entertainer. I need to be on stage like Lady Gaga doing something really dramatic and exotic to get attention. So when we recognize that myth that visibility equals being loud or being like overly confident or like a movie star, like performing, and that's not really what it is. Visibility is about, again, just letting people know who you are and what you do. You don't have to be loud. You don't have to be a movie star. You don't have to be dramatic and wear sequins and all of that kind of a thing to really get out there and start developing relationships with the people who are going to be so excited to find you. This last one is a big one because it's really the difference between if you're extroverted and you've got a really strong nervous system, you can get out there and be on stage and be loud. And if you're introverted or quiet, then there's no place for you in this visibility world. And that's just simply not true. Oftentimes, people are looking for depth. They're looking for something a little more quiet, a little more thoughtful. And that's your corner of the world, and that's where you belong. And again, this is a neighborhood approach. We're not going for world domination. We're not building an empire. We're looking to create a thoughtful, curated community of people who are going to want to work with us, our services, and our programs. And so visibility is completely different in that kind of a situation than what you see out there. A lot of the advice out there, a lot of the influencers talking about influencing is just like has nothing to do with us. So you can let all of that go, take a deep breath, and trust that you can find your way, your style of conversation, your one chosen channel, your rhythm of connecting that feels good in your nervous system, and you can be successful with this highly sensitive method for visibility. Visibility isn't performing, it's not chasing algorithms or constant output. Visibility is simply letting people see the work you're already doing. It's about naming what you care about and taking a stand. You don't have to be controversial to do that. Visibility is about standing in the place where your people can find you. So I hope this has been very soothing to your nervous system. I hope you see now how you can be visible, turn your light on, open the door, let those perfect fit customers in without playing that big influencer game that is not sustainable and not nervous system friendly. So if you've been feeling this in your heart, like, oh, I've got something, but oh, I don't want to get out there and share it, with this reframe and all this myth busting and alternative methods, you can get out there and share that with the world. And if you would like support with this, I do have an Aligned Income Collective, which is a group coaching program. So you can go and do it on your own, or you can do it in a small group of people who are giving you feedback and support and encouraging you. We do a lot of mindset work because we tell ourselves stories that aren't true, and it's helpful to have other people to talk it through with. And so I will leave some information about that in the description below. And I would love to hear a comment from you. Do you have a channel that you prefer, that you'd like to be visible on? You can type that in the comments, or just type in, I'm ready. I'm ready to be visible in a way that's soothing to my nervous system, in a way that supports my neighborhood style of a business, and I can ignore all that other stuff out there because it's not aligned for me. As always, thank you so much for being here. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. If you'd like to like this video, share this video, and comment, you are most welcome to do that. And Sita says, have a beautiful day.